I'm not expert, and I've been in the same session as Gillard and Ken O'Keefe. I think, oh dear, out of your depth there, aren't you? However, what I will do with you is share my experiences of the use of accusations of anti-Semitism, which I have suffered, like a lot of other people here. I was on the executive of Palestine Solidarity Campaign for 3 years, and I'm still a member. I'm still a member, Gillard. I haven't been expelled, and I'll explain why later. And now I work for an organisation called Day I've Seen and Remembered, which I will talk about later. Right, now, and I can't tell you the truth about anti-Semitism. I can't tell you the truth about anyone, but I will seek it. We will all seek the truth. Right, now, could somebody give me a definition of anti-Semitism?
Against Palestinians?
Against Palestinians? Any more?
Yes. Of insult of anyone who questions the state.
No.
Well, that's a nice one.
A proper definition of anti-Semitism is somebody who loathes or hates Jews just because they are Jews. That is the only definition of anti-Semitism.
The practical definition is everyone who is hated by the Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else want to come up with one?
Basically, it's any criticism of Jews.
Any criticism of Jews, right?
That's Zionism's version.
Of Zionist Jews?
No, that's Zionism's version of what anti-Semitism is.
Well, yes. Yes, I'm not so sure about that. Right. Any others?
Semitic races are not just
So anti-Semitism is applied to non-Semites and not to Semites. So if you're hostile to Arabs, you're not anti-Semitic, did you say?
no, I was just thinking in terms that, like, Palestinians from that area, they're a Semitic race, so...
Yes, okay. So anybody else got some very rare ones there? Following up a bit of Alan's, I've got some, forget there. Wikipedia is anti-Semitism is prejudice, hatred of, or discrimination against Jews for reasons connected to their Jewish heritage. A person who holds such positions is called an anti-Semite. It is a form of racism. The US State Department is quite similar to Alan's. Hatred towards Jews, individually and as a group, that can be attributed to the Jewish religion and or ethnicity. That's from the US State Department in 2005. And in 2005, interesting it's the same year, the EU, the European Monitoring Centre on Racism and Xenophobia, also included such manifestations of anti-Semitism, which can be towards Jews, Jewish or non-Jewish individuals, which rather puzzled me. Such manifestations could also target the State of Israel, conceived as a Jewish collectivity. I've got one that's no more satisfactory than other, that I submitted to the Palestine Solidarity Campaign in 2012. Racism, anti-Jewish prejudice, and Islamophobia shall be defined as a belief that inherent different traits in human racial groups, or Jews or Muslims respectively, both as individuals and collectively, justify discrimination. These terms apply especially to the practice or advocacy of discrimination of a pernicious nature, i.e. which harms these groups, which we'd rather left out, that you have to intend harm for it to be anti-Semitism. They all have difficulties, but it's just the range of ideas. So there's the idea that it's a form of racism, which some of those are, it's the connection to Israel and its Jewish religion or ethnicity. And my last one was actually Gillard's, which is that an anti-Semite is somebody Jews hate.
But if you criticise Israel, that's anti-Semitism.
That's right.
That's what I said, yes.
Oh, yes.
Criticism of Israel is counting as because it is against Jews. And there's a much bit of adding to that, which is also from the EU. It can be said to be, as it's applying double standards by requiring of Israel a behaviour not expected or demanded of any other democratic nation, or holding Jews collectively responsible for actions of the State of Israel. So, on that one, anybody here who's an anti-Semite? Yes? Yes. Quite a few. I'm officially
anti-Semitic,
anti-Semitic.
but I'm not anti-Jewish. I may be anti-Semitic, but I'm not anti-Jewish.
Oh.
I'm anti-Jewish, I'm not anti-Semite.
Yeah, this is the answer.
Semites are Palestinians.
I'm just anti-Zionist, anti-Tom. I'm against Jews.
Yeah, but I'm saying on one of those definitions.
If we were just ethnically Jews, that would be that.
Yeah, that's right. But on one of those definitions, that makes an anti-Semite if you're opposing Israel. I like the idea that they hold Israel to a higher standard than other democratic states. They don't hold their land, and what they don't hold Israel to, yes.
Could I just ask whether, in all of those definitions, they keep this hyphen in anti-Semite? Because I always take it out unless it means against the Semites.
I didn't read this out from the Wikipedia, but that makes the point. It makes the point that a lot of Jews, people giving help, and this Wikipedia article, have a look at it on anti-Semitism, because it's written by Jews, it's quite abusive written by Jews, and it's actually quite interesting in lots of ways, is that the very reason for taking out the hyphen is so it applies only to Jews. That it's a term that came in the 19th century to be applied to Jews. Semite doesn't apply to Jews. Semite is a description of language group and the cultures associated with that language group, and would have until Hebrew was adopted in Israel and lots of Israelis spoke Hebrew. It would have been. It would not have applied to most of the Jews we know.
Can I just suggest, in a way, it's almost like this technology or this vocabulary, it doesn't belong to us. It's almost like once we grasp the kind of nothingness of this, it's like it's their armor, you know?
Yes, exactly.
It's like we can argue the toss on how many angels are dancing on the pinhead, but we know, you know, hyphens or no hyphens, we all know what the score is.
Yeah, on that, I don't argue about anti-Semitism being applied to Jews and not to Semitic people. Yeah. So I agree. I think it's the general usage. You introduced my last definition of anti-Semite, and an anti-Semite is someone who tries to define anti-Semitism.
Exactly.
Why? Because the unknown and the unidentifiable is more powerful than that which can be challenged. If you can't challenge the accusation of anti-Semitism because you don't know what anti-Semitism is, that makes it a more powerful weapon than if you can discuss it. So the discussion of what anti-Semitic means is itself anti-Semitic because it's reducing the power. This is when I go on to what I'm going to describe about the experience of the use of anti-Semitism as a weapon. And what I'm looking at is not, I think, what we've been discussing quite a lot up until now, which is corporations, governments, media, but a group or groups who would very much be identified as being challenging those groups themselves. They would be against the establishment, and they would be against Israel, and definitely call themselves anti-Zionist. But I want to look at their use of the accusation of anti-Semitism because it is there. And I'll just say, because I know some of us are very well aware of Palestine Solidarity Campaign, but the majority of people aren't. So this was an organisation that was founded in 1982, and it is a major organisation, or not, if not the major organisation in this country for supporting the Palestine cause, or Palestine Solidarity. I will be using two terms, PSC, or Palestine Solidarity Campaign, and the Palestine Solidarity Movement. When I say movement, I'm including lots more organisations. So PSC was founded in 1982. It almost tore itself apart in disagreements about Oslo, and it was revived, or taken over, in 2000 by what I call the hard left. And the hard left displayed their usual characteristics. Now somebody may challenge me on this if you want to, which is factionalism, paranoia, central control, infiltration, and anti-this, that, and the other. So you're anti-sexism, anti-racist, anti-homophobic, you name it, they're anti it. And PSC, under their guidance, grew, and it did achieve some political prominence. It was quoted, the mainstream media took notice of it. It got access to parliamentarians, Parliament. It even had an interview in the Foreign Office, and it got well into the support of trade unions. So that was the situation. It was growing in that situation when I joined in 2001. And I thrown myself into it, in the way that I do, and I thought this was great. I had one or two little things beginning, including the reaction to Alan Hart's book, which was, oh dear, what's this about? It was quite positive. However, this became clear in 2005 when Paul Eisen published his article, The Holocaust War. Oh, what are we going to do about this? Oh, dear. And I was on the executive at the time. What are they going to do? So I said, well, let's read it. And this is quite a revolutionary. Let's read it. So a member, not me, was assigned to read The Holocaust Wars, and came back and said, yes, it's anti-Semitic, all right. And I said, well, yes, I expect you would find it anti-Semitic, wouldn't you? Oh, what's not what I? Oh, well, no dear, that was it. Quite interesting that during one of these discussions, one member of the executive said, well, Paul has been a good friend to PSC. He might deny this now. Paul has been a good friend to PSC, and his accusers, who were Jews, have done nothing but criticise PSC all the time.
By the way, can you explain that Paul is also a Jew?
No.
No?
Yes, if you like. Paul is a Jew, but we always have to mention that. Why do we always have to mention that? Sorry?
It changes, not biased.
Well, yes, he is biased. Many arguments for the night. Right. So, so that began. I was then marked as being unreliable, but I didn't resign, and I haven't resigned. But I didn't get onto the EC soon after that, and this attacks became greater and greater. I think it was in 2005. There was a resolution at the AGM about dealing with anti-Semitism, not kind, and having a quiet word. You know, we will talk to them, and all sorts of racism included. And I maintained that you should not do this. If you're going to do that, you must have an open hearing. This was not at all popular. And then in 2011, a website, a blog, I'm very ignorant about all these things, called Harry's Place, which is greatly, violently Zionist, began an attack upon PSC. and it named lots of anti-Semites in positions of power in PSC. And I was named as one of them. And I was actually a little bit offended because they hadn't hardly anything against me. And I thought, well, really, they could have done better than that. And PSC reacted in a sort of PSC way, which was to, oh, well, we must deny this. What can we do about this? And so the PSC executive member responsible for the branch of which I was secretary at the time, which was Camden PSC. Oh, Jill, you don't have any of this anti-Semitic stuff on your website, do you, Jill? I said, oh no, we don't have anything on that. This is true. We didn't have anything on it. And also, I was very strict about what went on. It just was notices of meetings and things like that. And so they began the purge, which I call the Great Loyalty Oath Crusade, because I was a great reader of Catch-22. Does anybody know this Great Loyalty Oath Crusade in Catch-22? What about anti-war? No? No. Oh, we practically crippled the US Air Force because everybody, one character was accused of being a communist, and it was obvious he was a communist because he didn't deny it before he was accused of being a communist. And this spread and spread and spread. And this was what was happening. There was a branch forum of PSC, which is a meeting, a branch forum was a meeting of all the branches together without any authority. When we got up, or people got up and confessed their sins of posting. Now, one of the things that happened was that somebody would post on the branch website an article, a very interesting article. And the article that they posted, wherever they got it from, you might have links. And sometimes these links went to things like Gill Kaffash. So they all pledged to be very careful about what went on the website. It mustn't be anything that had a link to anything that could be remotely thought of to be anti-Semitic. And I was asked to resign from secretaryship of Camden PSC. Now Hida was blocked on the Liverpool PSC.
And Hida is a Palestinian.
And Hida is a Palestinian. And quite extraordinary thing, there's one person, Ellie, who had been on the first Free Gaza vote, very eminent in the Free Gaza vote movement. And she had posted something suggesting that the Norwegian, and the name goes because I'm so old, the Norwegian who massacred so many people, might have had some connection with Moscow. That's okay. That he might have had some connection with Israeli groups. Anti-Semitic. Oh dear, what a pity she's done that. And this was the situation. A great memory, which I'll just give here to Alan, was Betty Hunter, who was General Secretary of the PSC for a long time. And she was sitting near me and she was yelling at me, the Holocaust is a fact! It's a fact! It's a fact! And I thought, because she had told me, and Alan was confirming this earlier, Betty Hunter never reads anything, but never reads a book. So how she knew it was a fact, I don't know. That was a fact. So this was the Great Loyalty Oath Crusade. And somebody, which I love best, somebody got up and said, no, we've won against these Zionists because we've shown that we're determined that we won't have any anti-Semitism. So they took all the information from the Zionist website, chased all the people it named, and tried to get rid of them, and that was winning the battle against Zionism. And this was this terrible fear that they had of being accused of being anti-Semitic. Fear in a group like that, who were great conspiracy theorists, I must say. So that was it. They also were pursuing an ex-president of BSC, Francis Clark Rose, many of you will know, and they decided to expel him. I said to I think the Secretary of Memory Agency at the time, Francis is going to appeal to the AGM. I'm very, very constitutional, and that's why I'm a trade unionist. They're very constitutional around it. So I'm sure most of you are not, but it's quite useful actually. So I said, yes, he's going to appeal at the AGM. No, we didn't think he'd do that. We didn't think what he'd do if he didn't resign. I said, well, he's going to appeal, I'll tell you that. I said, and you try and expel me, and I shall appeal. And they never have tried to expel me, because one victory we had at the AGM was that the AGM, which was quite a big meeting, decided that really they had enough attachment to the principle of free speech and justice that you don't expel someone without allowing them to appeal. The EC tried at that meeting to get rid of the right of appeal. They're not touched these things. I'm not having to do with them, but they haven't stopped my membership. I don't think they've stopped Francis that. They've got round to sending him back his standing order, counting his standing order. So that was that situation. Just because, how are we doing okay? Not too bad. Is about an example of anti-Semitism, which is not used as a weapon so much, but shows some of it, well, I think it might have been. I was involved in a group which put on a very successful event called Alternative Festival of Nine Carols. And these were alternative words to traditional carols, and we also had readings. And there were 3 Jews and me doing it. And I said I will do the readings, and I didn't let them look at them. Anyway, but the one that they use quite a lot is based on. Stop listening. Was the main thing that I was going. I'll leave that one because I will have a bit more time. So then I moved on to work with Dare Seen Remembered, and Dare Seen Remembered was in 2000 when it began its work here, was the first organisation, which non-Palestinian organisation, which looked at 1948. The earliest that most pro-Palestinian groups would go back to was 1967, and their main chant was "End the occupation." The idea that you thought, well, Israel is not legitimate in any way, it's not been legitimate since 1948, was anathema. You just didn't talk about that. So I began to work for PYR. I'm going to have to hurry it up. And this part what I'm talking about is how you resist this accusation. And some examples. And Gilad, if you would just briefly say what your publishers did about your book when they received these accusations.
Yeah, my last book was published by Zero Books. As many of Zero Books writers were associated with the radical left, you may say, and when they realized that my book is just about to be published, was just about to be published, a guy called Richard Seymour, who is also a famous radical left blogger who write under a blog called Lenin Tom. They managed to collect 21 writers, which is more than half of the authors on this imprint, who insisted that if I am published, they would resign or would leave the publishing house. I really didn't expect the publishing to stand up for me, within hours, I had another publisher. The book was edited and was read. Maybe it was already printed, actually. But to my surprise, my publisher is a young philosopher. He read my book, he loved it, and he told them that they could basically fuck off.
Yes, that's the words I would use. I think they're very good words to use against accusation. I was going to call on Gabby, but I don't think we've got time now. So we're going to be very...
We've got till 1:30, so you have got basically 5 minutes.
Got to, I can't see. Yes. 7 minutes. Right. So Gabby also took much the same reaction when a conference in Freiburg and also went to law. This is if you fight back, they tend to collapse.
Yeah.
But they do it, and they do it underhand a lot. That's the problem. Now I'm going to face you with something. Can we get that up? Yeah. Now this is an email I received. Have a look at it. What's your...
Yeah, we are talking.
What? Not yet. What's your reaction? Jews and money. How do you feel?
I feel at home.
Anybody feel? Nobody feels home.
Yes. Just highly connected with all of the big
It's
banks.
highly
Connected with all the big banks, if not running. The biggest banks like Goldman Sachs and the big ones that...
Yeah.
Every chamber in the Federal Reserve Board.
Yes. And actually just don't want at the moment. You're quite right. This we won't have time, but it's quite. Yeah. That's a new reaction that you'll bring up. Your reaction you just seen that. You think about Jews and money. Your reaction is that's stating the truth. Yes. This is a sort of general reaction.
No, I find it quite shocking.
You find it shocking.
Why it's exactly what he's asking.
Yes. I mean this is a very general reaction. Anybody else who finds it shocking?
No more shocking than Christians and money or Muslims and money. Just confirms the
Yes, let's have over here.
I think it's connecting the dots. Jews and money, Red Shield, connected fiat cash, way back centuries ago.
I think
No, can we just carry on?
I think it's trying to detract from the issue. So I connect the two things.
You think it's distracting?
It's like
It's distracting. Right, not that you know what the issue is here.
No.
Right, now could we open the file? I should just do it normally. Yes, it's a bit big. Now you can see it. Can we make it small enough for people to see the whole of it? Yeah. Okay. Now read it.
Jill, I can't, where it says the bit underneath the mother and child, perhaps if you read that out.
Here?
Yeah, it's bigger now, yes, I can see it.
Yes, because it's a sort of impact it makes when you see it all at once. Get some reactions to that. What do you think it's saying?
The Jews would have found
It's a lot of money.
Well, Jews would have found the money, and was that been bad or good?
Oh, it'd be good.
Yeah, would have been good.
Well,
Right.
they're not good,
Anybody, any other interpretation of it?
Yeah, they wouldn't have got the money. My feeling, the question is they wouldn't have got the money if
They wouldn't have had it.
No,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just like asking for something very abstract.
Yeah.
What they wanted.
They did get the money, of course.
Well, there would
I mean, not
certainly
necessarily for drama, but...
there would certainly been some bargaining over 30,000.
Right. What this was about, and you'll see we've done blocking things out, is that DYR commissioned a play about Deocene, the massacre, on April the 9th, 1948, and paid for the script. And we're setting about trying to get the money to get this produced. We've got the script by this point, and it's good. And publishers, because we were fed up with no reactions to our appeals. And said if it had been Jews, we'd have got the money, because I, well, Polish Jewish, yes, and I had the I've had experience of seeing anti-Zionist Jews really putting their hands in their pockets for Palestine cause, and also working very hard for it. So the basis was that Jews contribute to their causes. They understand the need for money for your cause. But it was seen as being horrifically anti-Semitic. The authors asked to withdraw, that's why they've been blocked out, asked us to have no more to do with it. We got resignations, lots of us. Paul, you're trying to say something.
No, I'm not.
So now DYR is now not, well, we haven't sorted out yet, connected with this play, which I hope will go on. I'm hoping now that the anti-Zionist Jews will come in to protect the authors and find the money because they're better at it.
It may even go on in Yiddish.
And the play will go on next year. I hope so. But it was, to me, quite a revelation just how deep this conditioning is, that people immediately, Jews and money, this is terrible. I didn't read, or if they read the email, didn't realise that we were not accusing them. One person I respect very much said we should have said Zionist or Zionist because not all Jews, this is the other one, not all Jews support Israel. Well, I'm sorry. But however, we meant Jews. I meant
Sorry,
Jews.
what are you sorry about? What are you sorry about when you made that statement?
About saying, I'm saying I'm sorry, I meant Jews, not Zionist Jews.
Sorry, can you explain that a bit more?
The Jews I was thinking of were actually anti-Zionist Jews.
Yes, right.
So I meant Jews, not Zionists.
Right.
The anti-Zionist Jews are themselves basically anti-Zionist Zionists.
Yes, so it was quite right. Let's get out. So now DYR is left in the situation of not having this play. We have been, DYR was nearly destroyed by the anti-Zionist Jews because of Paul Eisen. So it was a prominent argument because he was part of DYR. DYR, you could comb through its website and its activities and really not even say it was anti-Semitic. However, then we revived it in 2012, 2013, we brought over a Day Yassin massacre survivor and toured and had, we're looking now to 2014, bring our next one over, because they're all very nice, well, it's all me, and bring them over. I'm hoping that we will get even more commemorations. We say all you need is a room, even two people, some candles, and the camera. And then you've got your commemoration of the massacre of Day Yassin in 1948, which is a symbol of the injustice to the Palestinians. And we will go on commemorating it, but we want it to go more and more people to be aware of it and to commemorate it. So I'm saying, if anybody's interested, just speak to us, and then we'd love to organise it and bring you a survivor to address your group. So that's the experience of anti-Semitism and how people fight it and how you can resist it. So I think I've just got that now. So, thank you.